Hello, Mohan sir.
Yes, yeah,
So, Mohan sir, it's all set. Uh,
right.
After a minute, you can start, sir. So, you will be live on YouTube also now.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning, all of you. We grow up hearing the phrase "health is wealth." What is what is health? What comes to our mind when we think of a healthy person? So most often people hear somebody uh, looks a certain way, has a certain body composition, certain body type, or somebody who does not have any diseases as healthy. But is that all health is about? So what all is there when we think of health? WHO has its in its own definition of health talks about health as not absence of illness or infirmity. It's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It's not just somebody doesn't have a disease, so he becomes healthy, he or she becomes healthy, but it's a total of physical, mental, and social well-being. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm going to be focusing more on what contributes to mental well-being and what are the obstacles that can come in our way in achieving the state of mental well-being. As we say in mental health, there is no health without mental health. There are several different strategies that we can employ to ensure good mental health. I'm going to be talking only a few here. Some of the most important things that you can translate them to your physical health also. The first most important is your diet. Why is diet important when it comes to mental health? Uh, Supposedly, mental health is all psychological. Mental health is determined by several factors like our development, our experiences, perhaps our genetics. So, why focus on diet? There is growing body of literature that suggests that there is a correlation between what we eat and what we feel. You may have heard, you are what you eat. So, what happens when we eat something? So, in our intestines, we have thousands and thousands of microorganisms that are there that process the food we eat, and they keep sending messages from time to time to our brain. Several of these microorganisms, they could be bacteria, they could be viruses, or they could be fungi, or any other microorganisms. These bacteria, again, uh, tend to be helpful and some not so helpful, what we call as the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. But when we eat, we are feeding this bacteria in any way. Some of these bacteria get destroyed over time, some of them get nurtured over time. So our what we eat leads to how we feel, because these food that we provide to these microorganisms depends on what chemicals they release to the brain. So, for example, if we continue to eat fast food, sugar, processed food, all this lead to accumulation of certain bacteria that are not helpful to our body, and this certainly leads to our brain getting neurochemicals that signal stress, anxiety, or any of that. So, similarly, when we eat food that encourages the healthy bacteria to thrive, we are encouraging these bacteria to send out hormones like endorphins, chemicals like endorphins, which or serotonin also, which result in your better emotional well-being. This is one part to the diet, and there is a connection between um, our psychological state and also how our body functions. There are conditions like irritable bowel syndrome that many of us experience, or constipation, or any of this. They all have a psychological component. You personally may have experienced some tummy trouble, some headache when you have an examination to attend, or when you are going through some difficult times. So there is a connection between your psychological state and the health of your tummy also. So therefore, it's important that you feed the tummy what is more helpful. Eating perhaps foods that are rich in prebiotic, probiotic components are definitely helpful in nourishing our gut health, which results in maintaining good mental health also. Again, good mental health is again dependent on the gut health. Gut health also results in gut health can also be improved by other aspects, like the kind of stress experiences that you have, or the amount of sleep you get, or the relaxation techniques that you employ. All of this, we're going to look at each one of them in time. So it's important that you eat a balanced healthy diet to not only promote your physical well-being, but also to promote mental well-being. Moving on, we have sleep. Why is sleep important? Sleep, again, sleep is required. Sleep is something very, very basic. It's a primary biological function that all human beings experience. A good sleep is extremely important for your overall physical health. Also, it's important for your mental health. So, our sleep is again determined by the circadian rhythms in our body. They regulate our sleep. That is how much there is an internal biological clock that moderates your sleep. And uh, uh, it's important that we get enough sleep for us to stay healthy. We generally require 7 to 9 hours of sleep, depending on the age. Sleep also helps in consolidation of memory. Many a time you have students who cram the whole night, and next morning they're surprised that no, they don't remember much of it. What has happened is you're not getting enough sleep, so the brain has not had enough time to consolidate all the information that you have gathered. You may have studied really hard, but if there is no sleep, then possibility of that becoming solid memory is very, very less. So it's important to ensure that you sleep adequately well. What are the obstacles that come to sleep? One is, of course, we all tend to have, especially in today's time, we have irregular sleep cycle. That is, we wake up at different times during weekdays, different times during weekends. So all this can contribute to irregulation in the circadian rhythms and also in the sleep cycle. So what is most important is to ensure that you sleep at the same time every day and wake up at the same time, no matter whether you are sleepy at that time or not, so that your body gets used to that. Also, there are a lot of unhealthy sleeping practices that we engage in. That is, for example, sleeping on the couch, sleeping on the chair, or perhaps sleeping in a classroom. So this again results in poor sleep hygiene. That would mean that you are not able to get sleep when you go to bed. Our brain needs to get an idea that bed is the place where you need to get sleep. So it's important to ensure that you always sleep in the same place every day. From day to day, I want you to ensure that you sleep in the same place, and make sure that your bedroom is dimly lit. There is less light, so that your brain gets a signal that it is night time. Now it's the time to sleep. And also, your bed is slightly on the warmer side. And there are other factors. For example, we all tend to watch TV, we all tend to look at our mobile phones. So what television and mobile phones or computers do is they emit blue light. Blue light is known to be a significant hampering factor to sleep. So ensure that you do not engage in any of these blue light emitting devices at least for half an hour or so before sleep, so that your brain calms down to sleep. And also it's important that you do not exercise significantly in the evening hours, because when you exercise significantly there is a release of hormones like adrenaline, because you need adrenaline to run or to do any physical exercise, which is again detrimental to sleep. Ensuring that you engage in, perhaps you can go for a light walk in the evenings. You can keep all your heavy exercises, heavy duty workouts for daytime. And it's also important that we regulate what we drink, because sugar is again not a very helpful factor when it comes to sleep. So decreasing the amount of sugar, especially processed sugar, in all the aerated drinks that we drink, or caffeinated beverages, they all are extremely unhelpful when it comes to sleep. Ensure that you can have a glass of milk if you like. Warm milk is again proven to be very helpful in inducing sleep. Or you can have a light meal 2 hours, at least 2 hours before bedtime, because again a heavy stomach is not, we keep hearing our parents say that no, you need to eat healthy, but a heavy stomach is actually not helpful to sleep. It's important that you have a very light meal at least 2 hours before you go to sleep, but make sure that you wake up at the same time. What happens when we don't get sleep? Most often, especially when we have poor sleep routine, we tend to wake up in between. So what do? We generally tend to lie on the bed. We take our mobile phone, open Netflix, watch, stream a movie, or go to any other application and do something. So these are again unhelpful methods for sleep. Sleep requires that you engage in something extremely boring. So whenever you watch a movie, whenever you engage in, or when you try to study, because I woke up anyway, let me complete my assignment. What happens is again, your brain gets a message that it's time to be active, it's time to be alert. So again, what sugars do is the same thing. They increase alertness in the brain. It's important that your brain is not alert uh, during sleep. So try and do activities that are more calming. So best thing is, I recommend that you do not lie awake in the bed, because lying awake in the bed means that wakefulness is associated with bed. I want sleep to be associated with bed. So get out of the bed, sit at a table, or just go for a walk and engage in activities that are monotonous, that are boring, so that your brain kind of calms down, and now brain wants to sleep. When you feel sleepy, come back to your bed. Just because you've gone out, now don't sleep on the couch. So ensuring that your sleep is restricted to bed is a helpful technique that you can employ in ensuring sleep, because sleep is again related to your emotional well-being. There are several psychiatric disorders where sleep can disrupt it. Several psychiatric disorders can get further worsened if there is no adequate sleep. For example, depression, bipolar disorders, or even in anxiety disorders, you can see that sleep is significantly impacted. And improving sleep hygiene can result in your improvement in your anxiety and your depression symptoms also. So it's important that you have a good night's sleep to ensure emotional and physical well-being. Then physical exercise. Physical exercises are again definite uh, strategy in improving your overall well-being. Physical exercises can be any exercises that you want to practice. It can be yoga, it can be your tai chi, or workouts, or any of them. So ensuring that these physical activities happen during the daytime, so that whatever energy that is expended can be recuperated, and also that your brain doesn't get overactivated, so that you don't, when you engage in gymming and all in the night time. Uh, Again, your physical activity is dependent on your diet, dependent on the lifestyle that you have, how much physical workout, physical exercise do you get in your day-to-day practice, and all of that. You can tailor it accordingly, and of course on what your goals are, what kind of body you want to have. Most important is the mental exercises that promote relaxation. There are several relaxation techniques that we engage in that promote perhaps a state of calmness, a state of ease, uh, or some sense of attention enhancement also. So many of these relaxation methods are used by us without us knowing about them also. Some of these relaxation techniques could be deep breathing exercises, could be meditation, could be some muscular relaxation exercises, or it could just be, listening to some calming, soothing music. So stress anyway is something that is part and parcel of our lives. There is no individual on this earth who does not experience stress. Stress is not always harmful. We need to remember that, because stress is needed for our survival. If there was no stress, you and I would not have reached where we have reached. Only thing is, how much stress are we experiencing? So there are two components to stress called as the eustress and the distress. Eustress is what stress we actually benefit from. For example, if if there was no examination, I would not feel any tension. And if there was no tension, I would not make efforts to study for an examination. So, because I have some anxiety, some stress about examination, I work hard, I prepare hard. So, that results in me doing well in examinations and perhaps doing well in my life also. So, this is called as eustress. And then we have distress. Distress is when the stress overwhelms you. I have examination maybe 1 month from today, and I have like 8 papers to finish, and I'm still stuck in the first paper. And every day my mind is thinking about various scenarios where, where will I wind up? Where will I get a job? Where will I, whether I'll be able to pass this examination or not? So this leads to me not being able to study at all because I'm so anxious. I get so overwhelmed. I may experience panic attacks and whatnot. And so I stop studying. Or if I study also, because I studied in such an overwhelmingly anxious state, I do not recollect whatever I studied in the examination hall. Right. So here again, the stress is there, but the stress has gone to such an extent that the stress has actually become detrimental to my performance. So, our idea is to identify stress at a level that is optimal. If there was no fear of examination, we would not study. If fear of examination overwhelms you, again, we cannot study. So, how do I ensure that there is some anxiety that is actually productive for me? Right? So for that, because exams induce anxiety in all of us, we need to identify, am I making a realistic estimate of my current situation? Am I using all the possible options that I have? For example, I may have some extremely catastrophizing thoughts about examination, that if I failed in this examination, my life is going to be in tatters. My life is not going to be better at all. So it's important to challenge these kind of negative assumptions, which are extremely magnified in our own minds. Is it really true that this one examination is going to determine your fate for the rest of your life? So it's something that you need to ask. Is this something that you can cope with? If I got, CGPA of 7.2 instead of 8.5, or whatever the numbers are, so is it really going to make such an impact on my life? Hmm. So restructuring this kind of thinking, bringing into more realistic. Again, it is not like there won't be any effect of you not studying. There will be some effect, but having a realistic estimate of this can also bring about some reduction in the stress or anxiety that you experience. Once you've identified the realistic possibility in a given situation, what all strategies can I employ to deal with it? For example, I have just 1 month left for my examination, and I have so much to cover. So again, making realistic estimates. What is it that is possible right now? Can I actually stand first in a class if I'm studying only in the last 1 month? Right. So making a realistic estimate. How many hours are there in a day available for me to study, and how many hours will I actually study? So this also becomes important, and also balancing work with some kind of pleasure. Most often what students do is they are encouraged to study, study, study. Our parents keep telling us that, oh, pleasure, fun is for later life. When you become employed, perhaps when you were in school, you were told once you enter college, you can have all the fun you want. But when you enter college, you're told you get a job and settle in life, then perhaps you can have all the fun. Is it possible for us to balance this work pleasure in our day-to-day life is important, because postponing your fun life for a later time is not very, very practical. But how do I ensure what is most important for me right now? And then perhaps secondary, watching Netflix, watching a new show that has come on Netflix is very, very important. But is that what I'm here for now in college? you know um, Identifying what is more primary to me, to my identity as an individual. I'll speak about this toward the end of our session again, but it's important that you identify so that you can balance this. Or I can spend 4 hours of time on studying, preparing for whatever test that is there. I can spend perhaps 20-30 minutes listening to the new album my favorite rock star has released right now. So identifying, striking this balance is also important, and introducing relaxation techniques in between. Taking breaks when you're studying is also one way of relaxing. Um, a lot of us believe that we can study for hours together, but let me break that myth. Human beings cannot concentrate for longer time at all. Most often we can concentrate for 15-20 minutes, or maybe 25 minutes. So it's important that you take these breaks every 20-25 minutes. Taking break, maybe break of 5 minutes, not longer, so that you don't lose touch. This is like when you're exercising, your instructor will say you can relax a little, but you should not stop completely, because your body gets colder. Similarly, with respect to studies also, not taking break completely so that you don't miss the hang of studying, but taking adequate breaks to study. 5 minutes break, then I'll study for 30 minutes, then again 5 minutes break. And also mixing different topics is again helpful in reducing the stress of your study. Some of the techniques that you may have already employed can employ is, can you identify the kind of music that suits you, if at all you're a music person? Or you can, if you are somebody who likes to look at certain images that make you feel calmer, for example, looking at images of puppies if you like puppies, or playing with pets if you like pets, or watching something very, very soothing, something that is not very overwhelming, not too much stimuli at the same time. That's important that you recognize that. Um, or breathing exercises. We breathe often. Right? We breathe, not often, we breathe always. Uh, we are alive because we are breathing. Have you ever wondered what it's like to notice your own breathing? So, noticing your own breathing can be very, very calming. So it's very simple. You can just sit in one place, uh, try not to have too many stimuli at that moment, and just observe the process of breathing, the how you inhale the breath, and when you inhale the breath, how does it reach your body, how does it reach different parts of your body. You can notice your breathe till your toes also. And again, when you exhale, how is the air going out of your body? Noticing this can itself be a calming experience. If you practice like, 10 inhales, 10 exhales, you may notice some relaxation in that itself. There are different breathing exercises that you can find online. Many of these yoga gurus also teach you different kinds of breathing. Or, like I said, you can try mindful breathing. Mindful breathing is not manipulating your breath. There is no anuloma, viloma, or any of those strained or externally induced styles of breathing. Mindful breathing is about just becoming more and more aware of your normal breathing. This is not deep breathing, nor is it shallow breathing. It is how you normally breathe, but paying attention to it. When you pay attention to it, trying to learning to be more non-judgmental, not saying that no, this is not the right practice of breathing. This is not the wrong practice. This is the wrong practice of breathing, or talking about like, oh, I'm not taking enough breath in my tummy, or I'm breathing from the chest. Just allowing yourself to be there, be kinder to yourself, can again be a significantly relaxing exercise. Then there are meditation practices that you can learn. Meditations can again themselves be both relaxing, and they're also helpful in improving the cognitive capacity of individuals. We generally use mindfulness in various psychological conditions to help support well-being. There is literature that shows evidence for effectiveness of mind meditation, especially of the mindfulness kind, in depression, in several anxiety disorders, in developmental disorders like attention deficit also. So if you can learn some mindfulness techniques, you can, if you are practicing some other form of meditation also, that should be fine. For example, different yoga gurus in India promote their own style of meditation. So if you are into those practices, they again can be helpful. What is considered to be most effective is the Eastern practice of meditation called as mindfulness based meditation. So in which the whole idea is focusing on the present moment without judgment, that is being completely non-judgmental and only observing things. So you can learn mindfulness based on several mobile apps that you get. University of California gives you some free mindfulness based exercises also. So you can practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is all about being present in the moment, not going on autopilot. We all tend to be on autopilot mode all the time. So that again is part of our stressful life experiences, or because we are so caught up with things that we are not able to focus on what we are doing. So this again leads to significant other physical and mental health concerns. Identifying and becoming more mindful will help you improve this emotional well-being. Mindfulness is not limited to meditation alone. Mindfulness can be practiced 24 by 7. Mindfulness is being aware at the end of the day, um, being completely cognizant of all that is happening. You can try mindfully walking. You can try eating mindfully. You can try driving mindfully also. So this again makes you more and more aware. This awareness, of course, we don't generally say that mindfulness is practiced for relaxation. Relaxation is generally a byproduct of mindfulness. Mindfulness is about awareness training, and this awareness training is known to have significant impact on your attention, memory, and other cognitive functions. So, especially for students, mindfulness meditation is extremely beneficial because your attention gets enhanced, because the whole practice of meditation is attending to a um, uh, certain breathing style, to a certain activity that you are engaged in. It can be like, you can watch something mindfully, you can listen to something mindfully. You become more and more aware. That strengthens some neural networks that are involved in attention, resulting in better attention capacity. And attention is tied to memory. So because your attention is getting better, your memory will also improve. And this will again bring down some of the stress levels that you may experience, academic stress that you experience. What are the other factors that we need to consider for emotional well-being, especially at your age? I'm assuming most of you are in your late teens, 17, 18, 19 years of age. What are the important things that to recommend that is happening at this stage? So this is the stage where most of us experience our first crushes, our relationships, romantic relationships start happening at this time. You're learning more about who you are, who do you want to be, all of this. So intimate relationships are an important part of our emotional well-being. So any kind of meaningful relationships that you establish, this could be with a romantic partner, this could be with a friend, this could be with a teacher, or any of this. So these meaningful relationships become the bedrock of your emotional well-being. So identifying what is it that you want, because human beings are primates, and primates need other people. We are not known to be living by ourselves. We're not evolutionarily, we are wired to live together with people. So whatever kind of relationships that you form, see what is it that you can share with these people. Sharing your innermost thoughts, feelings, desires, needs can again signify better emotional health. Any kind of disappointment, failure, am I sharing enough with my closed ones? Could be a parent, could be a sibling, or a friend, or a romantic partner. Whoever that is, becoming more and more open and being willing to be vulnerable in front of these people is extremely important. And this is where our attachment needs come in, because these are the people where we can share how we are experiencing and whatever feelings that we are going through. Apart from the intimate relationship, in intimate relationships, of course, there are a significant number of skills that we need to nurture um, um, to maintain this relationship. For example, learning some interpersonal skills, the skills of assertiveness become very, very important in in these kind of relationships, so that you're not taken for a ride by your friend or by your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever that is. So learning certain interpersonal skills of standing up for your own self, identifying what are my rights in this relationship, what are the rights of the other person in this relationship. I will not let the other person encroach my rights in my relationship, nor will I encroach the other person's rights in this relationship, is important. There are multiple interpersonal styles we speak about. There are people who are aggressive, who are always standing up for their rights, but they do not recognize the rights of other people. Many people think that, oh, they are being assertive, but this is not assertiveness. Assertiveness is where you are able to stand up for your rights and also are supporting the other person's life, other person's rights and emotions. So for this, it's important that you recognize who you are in this relationship, what you can expect in this relationship. For example, to be supported, to be complimented, to be there for the other person. These are all some of the things that we need to identify in any meaningful relationship that we form, because we all have multiple different relationships, but how many of these relationships are meaningful is something that you need to identify, because this again leads to better physical health, better mental health also. Then we have social support. Social support is linked to significant mental health well-being. uh, like I mentioned, human beings are social people. Identifying sources of support. Who are the people I can rely upon for, in times of distress? Identifying the group, especially in cases of depression, in anxiety, this kind of social support is important. Who are the people I can fall back upon? So, do I have enough number of friends where I can? This is slightly different from the intimate relationship that I described earlier. Here, you have a group of people, a group of friends that you can talk to, or it can be a mental health professional, it can be your doctor, or any of them. So, identifying this kind of social support, or if you belong to a certain community, for example, if you're a gender minority, if you're a sexual minority, identifying support groups becomes very, very important. So, if I don't identify with the gender that I'm assigned with, recognizing and meeting people who are in the similar situation that I am, so that I can learn to share my difficulties. If you are LGBT, lesbian, gay, or bisexual, then identifying friends from that community so that you can feel supported and heard. Or if you belong to any other racial minority, perhaps, or religious minority, identifying groups that can provide you that sense of support is very important. Of course, we all see that we tend to be with people who are like us, perhaps who speak the same language as we do, where the are from the social background or socioeconomic background as we come from. So it's important to identify such support networks in your day-to-day life, so that when needed, you can use such support systems to improve your own physical and mental health well-being. The last part is identifying the values. What are these values? Ever wonder if we have certain directions in our life in which we try to move in? We all tend to care deeply about certain issues in our life. So this could be in terms of the kind of son or daughter you want to be to your parents, or the kind of student you want to be, or the kind of citizen you want to be, the kind of friend you want to be, or the kind of a spiritual person you want to be. So we all have certain ideas in our mind. Values are not goals. This is not, because goal has an end point. You become that, and then that is the end of the story. Values are something like they are directional points. They take you in a certain direction. So identifying these values is extremely important. And this also gives you perspectives about the different facets to your life. Am I only a student at this point in time? Am I also a friend? Am I also a child to my parents? Am I also a citizen? Most of you are now eligible to vote. So, what is my role in the society? What am I doing to improve? So, identify what kind of a person do I want to be. These are the different values that you can note down. You can, so that you can see, oh, am I moving in that direction? Whatever actions that I'm taking, are my actions in sync with the values that I cherish? I uh, i cherish perhaps being more connected to my inner self. If this is a value that I have, how much time am I spending by myself? So every day I go to college, I come back from college, I watch TV, I eat food, then I call friends, then I go to sleep. This happens every day. Then I have a value that I want to connect with my inner self. So my actions are not syncing with the values that I'm um, claiming to have. So identifying this discrepancy is important. I will, I have a value like eat more organically sourced food, or eat food that is less impactful on the environment, and then I go buy a packet of chips. So identifying what is it that you stand for. I want to be, I want to support more greener products. I want to stop using plastic, or whatever that is. So, uh, identifying what you stand for, what are the values that uh, you stand for, is very, very important. These values can be in terms of you being a student, you being a teacher, perhaps, you being a child, you being a parent. We have different, or what kind of a lover do I want to be? Ask yourself 5 years down the line, how do you want your friend to remember you? That will help you concretize the values that you may have deeply held. Many times, what do I stand for? Ask yourself, 5 years down the line, how do you want uh, your friends to remember you? What kind of a friend? Oh, my friend was very, very kind hearted. My friend was helpful, supportive, right? So then it will give you an idea of what kind of person you want to be. Or some people even say, can you imagine yourself being dead? And imagine you are at your own funeral. What do you want people to remember you for? What kind of eulogy are people presenting about you? So this will also give you ideas about what are the values that you cherish the most. So that again, once you identify these values, see if you can put in enough number of actions to move in that direction. Am I, of course, we may not be able to live by all our values on everyday basis, but at some point, like once a month, I'm taking break from everything. I'm just switching off and I'm going for a bike ride, or I'm going to the beach side, I'm going to the mountains. So it can be on a monthly basis, it can be on a daily basis. So identifying your values is very, very important, and these can signal a better emotional well-being. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address them. Thank you. Pradeep, are you there? Can I end the call? I guess that's all we have for today. Thank you.